I said in a previous video that one of the mechanisms that may affect the respiration, that make you feel suffocating, may be a body dehydration affecting the neural cells which transmit these impulses to the brain that regulates the breathing. However, I would like to point that I believe that mechanism that I was trying to explain is just obviously an hypothesis. That mechanism would only apply later, so after several years of empty nose syndrome, when the body becomes chronically dehydrated. So just maybe look at that video. This video, I want just to say two things. First, maybe another possibility about this issue with the neurons or nerve cell transmitting, not transmitting correctly the breathing signal impulse. But also just want to say something, when you first have the turbinate reduction surgery or removal, this is what happened to me. Basically, this is how I felt right after the surgery. It happened to me, I had this surgery 15 years ago. So right after the surgery, obviously you know already perhaps the nostrils feel too wide open because they removed those turbinates, the lower turbinates, which are the bigger one on both sides usually, or even if they reduce them. So you feel you have too much air getting through your nose when you breathe in, and there are sensors, basically cells, not electrical sensor, but cells all over the airways. So inside your nostrils, inside your even throat, down to lungs, there are cells which sense the pressure of the air. And basically the body knows that you are getting too much air inside through your nostrils at that moment because you no longer have the turbinates. And by the way, the sensors also are on the mucosa covering the turbinates, and this mucosa is getting destroyed. So some of the sensors may no longer send an impulse, or maybe the body may sense a wrong impulse, who knows. But anyhow, there are other sensors as well. So basically the body does sense that you are taking too much air through your nostrils, because in the healthy person, which has the healthy turbinates, basically the turbinates restrict the air that gets through your nostrils. It's really a restriction. It's just obviously it's a body inside the nose, but also that their shape, it's creating a spatial airflow which causes resistance. So anyhow, there has to be a certain resistance which is no longer present in persons after turbinate reduction surgery. Anyhow, so the body does feel there is too much air getting through your nostrils when you breathe in, when you do like this. And basically what the body does at that moment, it says, okay, there's too much air getting into my lungs. I don't need, this is what the mechanism, if you want, the way the body is reacting, right? It's not a computer, but it has systems which regulates this mechanism. So it reacts. So what the body says at the moment, I don't need that amount of oxygen into my lungs, because then I'm going to increase the oxygen in the blood too much, and I don't want that. So basically what happens, the body says, possibly you may feel it by yourself, it reduces the breathing. It just lowers the amplitude or the frequency of the breathing. And this basically causes the problem, basically, the reverse of a normal breathing condition. So let me just repeat this. The body senses you are taking too much air inside, and then the body, in a wrong way, causes too little air to get inside by just taking down the breathing amplitude, basically just slowing the breathing and reducing the amount of air getting into your lungs. This, in turn, causes the CO2 levels to rise in the blood. And this is one of the reasons I'm making this video. It's good to know. It's not important, but it's good to know, and I'm going to link you a few Wikipedia pages in the comment section. It's good to know that the reason why a person feels it's suffocating, it's caused by an increased amount of carbon dioxide in the blood. it's actually not caused by a decreased amount of oxygen in the blood. It's really the CO2 that triggers. There are specific parts, receptors in your body, the CO2 levels that triggers that feeling of anxiety, of drowning. It's exactly the same as when you block your nose and mouth, or maybe when you are diving underwater. At some moment you can stay maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute, and then you feel a strong anxiety, a strong need to breathe in. That's because the CO2 level got too high in your blood, basically. And possibly the oxygen level got too low, but the body is sensing really the CO2 level. It's actually is the primary factor, the primary parameter, and that's what causing that anxiety. And I think that this anxiety from the CO2, it's what's explaining the feeling of suffocation. Because basically you can still breathe in, but because the body, it's regulating this breath and takes less oxygen and discharges, removes less carbon dioxide from the body, basically you increase the CO2 levels in your blood. Well, it's not you, but the body who's doing this by error, and that's triggering that anxiety, that's triggering that feeling of suffocating. And it's that's why I think the studies, the media is calling this paradoxal breathing. You are still breathing, but you are not breathing enough, and your carbon dioxide is rising in your blood, and you feel that impulse of breathing, that suffocation anxiety, just like when you dive underwater or just block your breathing altogether. So this is just an information. It's just how it is. I mean, just trying to maybe have you understand. It just my opinion is, I'm not sure, I didn't read this somewhere, it's just my theory. Why you feel you are suffocating is really because your body is not breathing enough, because it's falsely triggered to think it's breathing too much, because there's too much air getting through your nostrils. This is the first part. The second part of this video, again, you are going to find some links in the comment section. I did search on internet. Basically, I just search on Google and find the Wikipedia pages for the subjects and just read through it and try to understand. I'm not going to describe because it's not so straightforward to explain the mechanism of breathing, the way the body it's regulating the breath and it's measuring the CO2 and oxygen levels in the blood. But by the way, I hope maybe there are, I don't know, younger persons who are listening to us, but you know perhaps already that the blood has to have a minimum level of oxygen and a maximum level of carbon dioxide, right? So we want to remove the carbon dioxide from the blood and add oxygen to your blood, and this is done through the breathing and through the lungs, which are filled with the air that you breathe in, and with blood. Basically, the lungs are filled with blood. There is large arteries flowing blood through your lungs, and it's there that we remove CO2 from blood and inject oxygen into the blood. But there is also there are from what I read, there are two places in the body that measure the carbon dioxide in the blood and the oxygen levels in the blood. Maybe I'm going to give you the names. It's carotid body. That's how it calls. It's called carotid body, just like the carotid artery, because it's actually located on the carotid. I think it's two of them because it's two carotids. So there's a small pack of cells that sense the levels of, in the carotid body, they sense the levels, primarily the levels of oxygen and secondarily the levels of CO2. And then they send this information. It's just triggering basically some cells. These cells send the information to another body, which is called medulla oblongata, oblongata, a weird name. And they are sending the information to this second body through a nerve. It's called glossopharyngeal nerve. So again, This information is sent again to a second body called medulla oblongata, which this medulla is actually sending specific signals to the brain to regulate the respiration. So notice there is a brain, sorry, there is a brain. There is a nerve that has to transmit this information. So again, I'm making a reference to my previous video. If there is a body dehydration later with after many years of ENS, maybe this nerve is not sending correctly the signals to the brain, and the brain doesn't realize how much CO2 and oxygen are in the blood at a specific moment. Now, again, this is a second mechanism which happens probably only late after many years with ENS, right? So it's a separate mechanism than the one I described in the beginning of this video, which happened right after the surgery. So yes, there is a nerve involved. So I'm guessing if there's body dehydration, this nerve will not be sending correctly the impulses, the correct measurement of CO2 and oxygen in the blood, and obviously the brain will get confused and will cause irregular respiration with consequences that we know. So just finishing this video saying that this carotid body has chemoreceptors, it's called. Basically, they measure primarily I believe it's something related to pressure of oxygen, because oxygen being dissolved in blood, it's a gas, right? So it's, I don't know the mechanism, but it's affecting some chemoreceptors in the carotid body. And also the second body, the one that's called medulla oblongata, has in itself also a small body of chemoreceptors, which this sends actually the CO2 levels in blood primarily. Again, these bodies are by the carotid artery, right? So carotid artery means it's bringing blood to the brain. This is oxygenated blood. It goes towards the brain. So they are located by the artery because the artery is full of blood. So these receptors are just in touch with the blood going to your brain. So anyhow, all this to say that I'm describing quickly these sort of receptors in the body. So maybe you are curious to know which parts of the body are sensing this, are measuring actually CO2, oxygen in blood, and then sending the information to your brain to regulate the respiration. Just if you are curious about this, look in the comment section. So you perhaps read to those pages of Wikipedia, which are not that easy to understand. It's not so easy to just draw a simple basic picture of how the regulation is, how the respiration is regulated. Yes, so just look on my other videos on my channel. Maybe I will link as well my playlist, and yeah, hopefully this helps you. And maybe watch the other video where I describe the mechanism perhaps of that may affect breathing after many years with ENS due to chronic body dehydration, which this body dehydration is caused by dry nostrils in the very long term.